Wish you all a wonderful day. Welcome back to Pharmaceutics. And to start with, we have the course objectives, and these are nothing but your subject pharmaceutics objectives, and these remain same as what we have discussed earlier in our previous video sessions. And then we have the ground rules for the class to discuss, and these ground rules remains the same as usual, other than one aspect, that is I have attached one video clip for your better understanding, and remaining rules are all the same as usual, like what we used to practice previously. Well, now we shall move on to the objectives and clear structure of the lecture. So in the previous video, that is part 1 of suppositories, we have covered the objectives like definition of suppositories, suppositories for local action, suppositories for systemic action, and rectal, urethral along with vaginal suppositories. Then we have discussed about anatomy of rectum, and we have also discussed about absorption of drugs from the rectum along with physiological factors which are affecting the rectal absorption. And then we have also discussed about the various physico-chemical factors of the drug and the suppository base which are affecting the rectal absorption. Along with this, we have discussed about few ideal characteristics of suppository bases also. And well, today in this part, that is second part of suppositories, we will be discussing about suppository bases and classification of suppository bases with examples, their advantages along with disadvantages. Then we will be discussing about the methods of preparation of suppositories along with the packaging and storage of suppositories. And remaining objectives, that is the various problems we are facing in formulation of suppositories along with the evaluation and quality control of suppositories will be discussed in further video. And in this part, we are restricting our discussion to these objectives like suppository bases, classification of suppository bases along with examples, and the various methods of preparing suppositories, packaging and storage of suppositories. Well, now let me explain you about the suppository bases. These suppository bases are nothing but the excipients or the additives which are used in the manufacture of suppositories. If it is for rectal administration, we call it as suppositories, and if it is prepared for vaginal administration, we call them as pessaries. These suppository bases can be hydrophobic or hydrophilic in nature. Hydrophobic means water hating systems, that means the fat soluble material, or hydrophilic means water soluble material. And these suppositories made with such bases should melt as just below body temperature, that is around 37 degrees centigrade, allow for erosion of the dosage form and release the active pharmaceutical ingredient. Well, now we shall move on to the classification of suppository bases, and all these suppository bases are classified according to their physical characteristics. Based on their physical characteristics, they are classified majorly into two major classes. The first class of suppository bases include fatty bases. Second class of suppository bases include water soluble and water miscible bases. Under fatty bases, which are designed to melt at body temperature, we have examples like theobroma oil, which is also called as coca butter, and synthetic hard fat. For example, we have substances like suppository and vitapsol. To talk about the examples under water soluble and water miscible bases, we have substances like glycerogelatin and macrogols. And these macrogols are nothing but polyethylene glycols. Generally we call them as PEGs. These polyethylene glycols of high molecular weight, above molecular weight ranging above 1000, are considered as suppository bases. Well, now we shall move on to the discussion about the first type of base, that is fatty bases. In this we have first example, cocoa butter, or it is also called as theobroma oil. It is a yellowish white solid and it has an odor of chocolate, and it is a mixture of glyceryl esters of different unsaturated fatty acids. So basically it is a yellowish white solid with an odor of chocolate. So because of this reason, you should take care and you should not forget to label as keep away from the reach of children, because children, since it is having a smell of chocolate, they may misunderstand and they may mistake to consume it thinking that they are chocolates. So you should ensure that that label is mentioned on the container or on the pack. So now we shall look into the various advantages of this cocoa butter or theobroma oil. Basically, this has a melting range of 30 to 36 degrees centigrade. So it will be solid at room temperature but melts in the body after its administration, so that it is ideal for application into the rectal cavity. And second advantage is it is readily melted on warming and rapid settling on cooling. So it has got both properties. So readily melting property along with rapid settling property on cooling. This will help us while formulating the suppositories. Then third advantage we have is it is miscible with many ingredients and it is non-irritating. It will not cause any sort of irritation in the rectal region or vaginal region after its administration. Well, now we shall look into the various disadvantages of cocoa butter as a suppository base. Totally there are around 8 disadvantages, major disadvantages this theobroma oil possesses. The first one among them is the polymorphism. When this cocoa butter melted and cooled, it solidifies in different crystalline forms. So initially when we melt it, it will liquefy, and later when we cool it, it will solidify into different crystalline form which is undesirable. Depending on the temperature of melting or depending on the rate of cooling, this may happen, and the size of the mass is also another factor which is to be considered for this kind of formation of different crystalline forms. This is a major drawback. Well, in addition, if this theobroma oil, if we melt at not more than 36 degrees centigrade and slowly cooled, it forms a stable beta crystals with normal melting point. This is appreciable during the formulation of suppositories. And in case if overheated then cooled, it produces an unstable gamma crystal which melt at about 15 degrees centigrade itself, or sometimes it may form alpha crystals which may melt at 20 degrees centigrade. So what we are intended is, we are intended to melt this suppositories at around body temperature, that is between 36 to 37 or close to 37 degrees centigrades. But whereas in case if they form the crystals which are unstable, the crystal forms like gamma crystals or alpha crystals, the gamma one will melt at 15 degrees centigrade, whereas the alpha crystals melt at 20 degrees centigrade, which is again undesirable. and not suitable. So what we have to do is we should not overheat. We should heat them slowly, and we have to cool them to bring back into normal form other than the gamma crystals as well as alpha crystals. Beta crystals are more appreciable. So these forms which are unstable return to the stable condition after several days. So if it is overheated and resulted with either gamma crystals or alpha crystals, they may become again a solid form maybe after several days. Well, this cocoa butter must be slowly melted over a warm water bath to avoid the formation of unstable crystalline form. Well, second advantage is adherence or sticking to the mold. So normally in general practice, most of the time in laboratory we use the molding method for preparing suppositories, and for these molds which are made up of metals, either aluminium or brass or stainless steel, right, which have the cavities and which is basically having two half sections as I shown you in the picture, right. So we fix them and we ensure the cavities are tight, and into the cavities we fill the molten mass of the suppository bases along with the active pharmaceutical ingredients, and then we cool them. I will explain you the method further, right. Well, so here to talk about the disadvantage is, while removing the suppositories from the mold, it may have a tendency to get adhered to the walls of the mold, right. So that's what they say. The cocoa butter does not contract sufficiently on cooling to loosen the suppositories from the mold, and thereby it remains sticky, and this sticking may cause this sticking may be overcome by adequate lubrication. So we have to lubricate the molds before we tend to fill the suppository bases. Well, next is the softening point. That is a major drawback, and softening point will go too low for hot climates. So well, before this you should know what is the meaning of softening point. The softening point is the temperature at which a material softens beyond some arbitrary softness, and the softness temperature is the temperature at which the substance gets softened but not changed to liquid state like what it is undergoing while melting, right. So it is not a fixed temperature. Normally it will be a temperature range mainly at which the substance starts softening. So that is about softening point, and the softening point will go too low for hot climates, and this is another drawback for cocoa butter as a suppository base. Next disadvantage is the melting point, and the melting point reduced by soluble ingredients, right. So we all know that we are not using the suppository base alone. Along with the suppository base, we are combining the active pharmaceutical ingredient, and then we are melting both together, and then we are adding into the suppository molds. So it is a combination of drug and the suppository base. So the melting point of suppository base alone will be different, and sometimes the melting point may reduce by the soluble active pharmaceutical ingredients which are mixed together. Well, phenol and chloral hydrate have a tendency to lower the melting point of cocoa butter. So solidifying agents like beeswax, roughly around 4%, may be incorporated to compensate this kind of softening effect of the added substance. And next disadvantage is rancidity on storage. So to understand this factor, you should recall what is rancidity, whatever you have studied in your prerequisite program, right? The rancidity, you just recall, it is the chemical decomposition of fats and oils or other lipids. Well, due to the oxidation of unsaturated glycerides, this kind of rancidity may happen, right? This is another drawback for theobroma oil or cocoa butter. Well, next disadvantage is poor water solubility or poor water absorbing ability. So this can be improved by addition of some emulsifying agents along with the suppository base and the active ingredient. And next drawback is leakage from the body. Sometimes the melted base escapes from the rectum or from the vagina after its administration. So it is rarely used as a pessary base, right? So because of this property, that is, it has an escaping tendency from the cavities like rectum or vagina, it is rarely used as a pessary base. And the last disadvantage is it is expensive, it is very costly, right? Under fatty bases, next we have second type of fatty base, that is synthetic hard fat. Under this category we have examples like suppository and vitopsol, and these two, that is under synthetic hard fat category, have several advantages. The first advantage is their solidifying points are unaffected by overheating, like what we have seen in case of theobroma oil, and they have good resistance to oxidation because of their lower content of unsaturated fatty acids. Since they have very less unsaturated fatty acids in their chemical composition, they have good resistance towards oxidation or degradation by oxidation or against rancidity. So that is added advantage. In addition, the third advantage is the difference between the melting and setting point is too small. That means the melting point is the temperature at which the material starts liquefying, right? It will become liquid. And setting point is that temperature at which it will retain its original form back into normal. So the difference between the melting and setting points is small in case of synthetic hard fats like suppository or vitopsol, and this is additional advantage. Hence they set quickly. The risk of sedimentation of suspended ingredients is low. So here you should understand what is the risk of suspended ingredients which are sedimented, right? That is sedimentation of suspended ingredients. So normally what happens when you melt the suppository bases along with the active ingredients and other additives and pour into the cavities of the suppository molds and you allow them to cool. While cooling, sometimes there is a possibility in some cases for the dispersed or suspended or the active ingredients which are present in the base may settle at the bottom of the mold cavity, and that is called sedimentation. So this is normally a drawback, and since these have a very narrow range of temperature between melting point and the setting point, they set quickly and the risk of sedimentation of suspended ingredients will be low. And next advantage is they are marketed in a series of grades with different melting point ranges, so which can be chosen to suit a particular product and a particular climatic condition, right? So they are available in various ranges of melting points, and thereby they can be selected based on the requirement according to the nature of the product and according to the climatic condition. And next advantage is they contain a proportion of water in oil type of emulsifying agents, and therefore their water absorbing capabilities are good, right? So it will not have a problem like what we have seen in case of cocoa butter. And then the next advantage is no mold lubricant is necessary, because they contact significantly on cooling, right? Like we have seen a drawback in case of cocoa butter. They have a tendency to get adhered or get sticking into the mold wall surfaces, inner walls of the mold cavity. So that kind of problem is not seen when you use this type of suppository bases. Well, along with those advantages, these synthetic hard fats may also possess certain disadvantages or drawbacks that include they are brittle in nature. If they are cooled rapidly, they may tend to break because of the brittleness, right? So we have to avoid refrigeration during preparation. Refrigeration or cooling more cooling should be avoided during preparation. Otherwise, they may become brittle and they may tend to break while packing. Then another drawback is the melted fats are less viscous than theobromine oil when you compare with theobromine oil. As a result, there will be a greater risk of drug particles to sediment during preparation, which results in lack of uniform drug distribution and cause localized irritation or irritancy after its administration into the body cavities. And next category of suppository bases are water soluble and water miscible bases. And in this, the first example is glycerol-gelatin. And this is the commonest glycerol suppositories base, British Pharmacopoeia, right? That means it is commonly used in glycerol suppositories base. So this has a combination of glycerol plus gelatin plus water, right? These normally contain 14% weight by weight of gelatin and 70% weight by weight of glycerol, and water quantity sufficient to make it to 100%. And the glycerol-gelatin base USP contains 20% W by W gelatin and 70% W by W glycerol, and water quantity sufficient to produce 100%. So glycerol-gelatins are available in two grades. One is official in British Pharmacopoeia, other one is official in United States Pharmacopoeia. The one which is official in British Pharmacopoeia has 14% W by W gelatin and 70% weight in weight of glycerol, and water quantity sufficient to produce 100%. Whereas the glycerol-gelatin base, which is official under United States Pharmacopoeia, consists of 20% weight in weight of gelatin and 70% weight in weight of glycerin, and water quantity sufficient to produce 100%, right? So you can have a look at the picture. So this is how the glycerol-gelatin suppositories appear like. Well, now we shall look into the advantages of glycerol-gelatin. The base is hydrophilic in nature, that means they can easily dissolve in water and they can be widely used for those conditions where water solubility of the base is preferable. And they slowly dissolve in the aqueous secretions and provide a slow and continuous release of medicament, right? So this is an added advantage, because if it is dissolving slowly in the aqueous secretions, and it may tend to release the active medicament slowly, thereby we can expect sustained release of the medicament or active ingredient from the suppository. And the next advantage is it is well suited for suppositories containing substances like belladonna extract, boric acid, chloral hydrate, bromides, iodides, iodoform, opium, etc. Right? So a wide range of active ingredients can be incorporated along with these type of suppository bases. Well, now we shall look into the disadvantages of glycerogelatin as a suppository base. The first drawback or first disadvantage is a physiological effect. That is, osmosis occurs during dissolving in the mucous secretions of the rectum, producing a laxative effect. Right? It may cause laxative effect. It may result in a laxative effect because of the osmosis which is occurring while dissolving in the mucous secretions of the rectum. Then it may have another drawback, that is, it can cause rectal irritation due to small amount of liquid present, right? In the rectal region, in the rectal cavity, we already discussed earlier in our previous part of suppository part 1 session. So approximately the rectal region have around 3 ml of the liquid, right? That is mucus secretion which is present in the cavity, right? So since it is very small, it may cause irritation due to the small amount of liquid present and more amount of the solid particles which are released from the suppository. And next drawback is it is unpredictable solution time. The solution time or dissolution time cannot be predicted, right? So it is unpredictable, it is having an unpredictable solution time. And next drawback is it is hygroscopic in nature. We all know what is hygroscopic, right? So they should be packed in a tight containers and also have dehydrating effects on the rectal and vaginal mucosa, leading to irritation, right? So since we know that only a very small amount of liquid is present in rectal region, which is called as rectal mucosa, it is approximately around 3 ml, and this is having a hygroscopic property. They may tend to absorb the moisture or liquid present in that particular region after its administration and may cause irritation during the normal functioning or normal physiology of the rectal cavity, and that may result in severe irritation sometimes. Well, next we have another drawback, that is microbial contamination is more likely, right? They have more affinity towards microbial contamination. And then the next drawback is it has got long preparation time, right? If you want to prepare a suppository by using this type of suppository base, that is a glycerogelatin, so it needs a lengthy procedure. And next you have another drawback, that is a lubrication of the mold is essential. You have to lubricate. These may also have a tendency to get adhered to the walls of the suppository mold. Well, in water soluble and water miscible bases, we have the next example or next category of examples, that is macrogols, which is also called as polyethylene glycols, PEGs. Well, these polyethylene glycols are polymers of ethylene oxide and water. When you look into its chemical combination, chemical composition, it has got a combination of or polymers of ethylene oxide and water, which are prepared to various chain lengths and which are prepared to various molar masses and which are prepared with various physical states. And the numerical designations refer to the average molecular weights of each of the polymers. These macrogols or PEGs, polyethylene glycols, are having designations of numbers like PEG 400, PEG 600, PEG 1000, etc., etc., etc. So these numerical designations refer to the average molar mass or molecular weights of each of the polymers, right? The polyethylene glycols having an average molecular weight of a range starting from 300, 400 and 600 are appearing clear, and they are available in colorless liquid forms, while those with molecular weights of a range ranging from 600 to 1000 are appearing in semi-solid forms, and those PEGs having an average molecular weight of greater than 1000 are wax-like white solid substances with the hardness increases with an increase in the molecular weight. So the more suitable molecular weight range or a numerical designation for this PEGs is 1000 and above. As it goes higher from 1000, the hardness may increase. These polyethylene glycols can be blended together to produce suppository bases with varying melting points, with varying dissolution rates and with varying physical characteristics. And the drug release from these suppositories when these are used as a basis depends on the base dissolving rather than melting. And the melting point is often around 50 degrees centigrade. So thereby higher proportions of high molecular weight polymers produce preparations which release the drug slowly and are also having a tendency to become brittle in nature and may tend to break during handling. And less brittle products which release the drug more readily and can be prepared by mixing high polymers with medium and low polymers. So thereby normally what we use is normally a combination of various molecular weights, various numerical designations of PEGs are mixed together to form a suppository base. So based on their stability factors and their advantages and their disadvantages, there are so many combinations have been tried, and you can refer all of them in the research article which has been attached along with this video. Well, now we shall look into the advantages of polyethylene glycols. It has got no laxative effect, so that is, you must say thank God. Okay, it will not result in laxative effect, and it has got less microbial contamination tendency, and the base contract on cooling and no lubricant is necessary while adding the molten mass into the suppository mold. And the melting point above body temperature, that is cool storage, is not critical and suitable for hot climates, and the base dissolve in the body and disperse the medication slowly, providing a sustained effect. And these produce high viscosity solutions, so leakage is less likely. Previously we have discussed some bases causes leakage from the body cavities after their administration. Well, if you use these type of PEGs, the leakage is less likely, and these possess good solvent properties. Along with these advantages, these also possess certain disadvantages or drawbacks, and polyethylene glycols has a drawback of hygroscopic nature, right? Thus, it may cause irritation to the mucosa, and this can be overcome by instructing the patient to dip the preparation in water prior to insertion into the rectal cavity or vaginal cavity. And another drawback is its poor bioavailability of medicaments. So the good solvent properties may result in retention of the drug in the liquefied base with consequent reduction in therapeutic effect. So it has other properties, thereby it may result in poor bioavailability of medicaments. and this is a drawback. And next drawback is incompatibility. So these polyethylene glycols are incompatible with several drugs and several packaging materials. For example, substances like benzocaine, penicillin and plastic may limit their use because of their incompatibility with PEGs. And next drawback is it is also resulting in brittle formulation. It has got a brittleness property and that may lead to breaking tendency. So thereby it breaks if cooled too quickly, and also it may sometimes break on storage, or it may break while handling or packing or transportation. So we shall now look into the preparation of suppositories. Suppositories are prepared by basically 4 methods. The first method of preparing suppository is hand molding. So in this method it is molded by hand. We are not using any special devices like suppository molds. The hand molding is useful when we are preparing a small number of suppositories. So this include the preparation steps like the first step, the drug is made into a fine powder, and in the second step it is incorporated in the suppository base by kneading with it or by trituration in a mortar. And then the third step is the kneaded mass is rolled between fingers into rod shaped units, and then the fourth step include the rods are cut into pieces and then one end is pointed. So everything is made by hand here, right? So that's why they call it as hand molding. And next method of preparation is second method, that is compression molding. In this method, the cold mass of the base containing the drug is compressed into suppositories using a hand operated machine. And this method has few advantages as well as few disadvantages. Let us look into their advantages. And the first advantage is it is a simple method. It gives suppositories that are more elegant than hand molded suppositories, and it is a second advantage. And third advantage is in this method sedimentation of solids in the base is prevented. And fourth advantage is it is suitable for heat labile medicaments or thermolabile medicaments. And then along with these advantages we also have certain disadvantages for this compression molding method. The air may entrapped. The entrapped air may take place, and that may cause difference in the volume or mass of the suppository. And this air may cause weight variation, and the drug and or the base may be oxidized by the air which is entrapped inside the suppository while formulation. The third type of preparing suppositories is pouring molding or pour molding. And using a suppository mold which is made of metallic or plastic like what I have shown you in the picture in my previous slide, and it is a traditional metal molds which are made use in this type of method, which normally has 2 halves and are clamped together with a screw. And the procedure include 4 major steps. In the first step, the base is melted and precautions are taken not to overheated the material. And second step, the drug is incorporated in it. And the third step, the molten liquid mass is poured into the chilled molds. And prior to that, the mold cavities are lubricated in case if cocoa butter or glycerol-gelatin base is used as suppository base. And last step is after solidification, the cone-shaped suppositories are removed carefully and pack them in a suitable packaging material. Well, next we have lubricants for use with suppository bases. Lubricating the cavities of suppository mold is helpful in producing elegant suppositories which are free from surface depressions. That means depressions on the surfaces of the suppositories which are formulated. The lubricant must be different in nature from the suppository base in terms of their solubility. Otherwise, it will be absorbed and will fail to provide a buffer film between the mass and the metal surface. Normally, the water-soluble lubricants are useful for fatty bases, while the oily lubricant is useful for water-soluble bases. The lubricant should be applied on a pledget of gauze or with fairly stiff brush. Next we have a small table here. In this table at one side we have different suppository bases, and at other side of the table we have various lubricants which are applicable for those bases. Well, if cocoa butter or theobromo oil is used as suppository base, so you can select soap spirit as a lubricant. In case if glycerogelatin is used as suppository base, liquid paraffin can be used as a lubricant. In case if synthetic fats are suppository bases, no lubricant is required. So well, next we have automatic suppository molding machine. In this case, all the operations in pour molding, whatever we have seen, are done by an automatic machine, and using this machine up to about 10,000 suppositories per hour can be produced, or even more than that sometimes, depending upon the capacity of the machine, right? So everything is automatic here. All the procedure, entire procedure, right, is operated by the machine which is automatic. And for this I have attached a video, right, which shows an automatic machine by which suppositories are prepared, right? Please have a look at the video. Well, that was a automatic production of suppositories in large scale in industry. Hope you enjoyed the video. So next we have packaging and storage of suppositories. Suppositories are usually packed in tin or aluminium or paper or plastic foils. Poorly packed suppositories may give rise to staining on the surfaces of suppositories, or sometimes breakage of the suppositories which are packed poorly, or sometimes deformation by melting may take place due to external temperature if it is improperly packed. So both cocoa butter and glycerinated gelatin suppositories should be stored preferably in a refrigerator at cool temperature. And polyethylene glycol suppositories should be stored at usual room temperature without the requirement of refrigeration or cool temperature. Next we have the summary of the discussions. We have discussed definition of suppositories, suppositories for local action, suppositories for systemic action, rectal, urethral and vaginal suppositories, anatomy of the rectum, absorption of drugs from the rectal cavity, physiological factors affecting the rectal absorption, physicochemical factors of the drug and suppository base affecting the rectal absorption, objectives under part 1. We have discussed all these under part 1, and in this part 2, this video, we have discussed about the suppository bases and various types of suppository bases as their classification along with their examples, and we also discussed about the advantages and disadvantages of various suppository bases, and then we have discussed about the different methods of preparation of suppositories, and then we discussed about the packaging and storage of suppositories under this part of the video, that is suppositories part 2. And remaining objectives like problems in formulation of suppositories and evaluation or quality control of suppositories will be discussed and covered in my further video, that is part 3. So well, I have listed few references for you all to go through. Again, you have textbooks, reference books and reference research articles. So I have attached 2 articles. So one is about the various suppository bases, and other one is formulation and evaluation of natural palm oil based diclofenac sodium suppositories, so which is published by our team, my own team, right? So we have formulated suppositories by using palm oil based suppository base. A suppository base which is obtained from natural palm oil has been used. We have formulated suppositories and we have evaluated them and we have published in a reputed journal. So both the articles you can go through and collect the necessary information. Well, let me go with a high note for today's video. Many will start fast, but only few will finish strong. And this is a great quotation by Gray-Ryan Blair, right? So many will start fast, few will finish strong, right? I know you all will start fast reading and complete fast and fill up your audit form fast and submit fast. But let me see how many will finish strong. That means how many will understand the concepts what are all discussed in the videos, and how many will be able to reproduce when you have assessed for the same. So with this I come to end of suppositories part 2. Thank you very much. Have a good time.